Hey, welcome to another Zbrush Quickies. So in this one I'm going to show how to completely customize the UI, or the steps you would take to do that, from hotkeys to completely revamping the whole UI, so having all your buttons and brushes and everything to hand, all your tools to hand, and also then creating a custom menu like I have here, attached to a hotkey. So it's like a market menu in Maya, or sorry, a hotbox, or like the quad menu in Max. When you right click, it'll just pop up and you press the hotkey wherever your cursor is. So I'm going to start first with hotkeys. That's the simplest to do. So for hotkeys, basically, say for instance, you can see if I hover over a button, if there's a hotkey attached to it, the hotkey will come up beside whatever that button happens to be when you hover over it. So in this case, P for perspective. So all you have to do is hold down Control and Alt, and then if you look up, I'm going to release Control and Alt, and if you look up in the corner, top left corner, you'll see usually when ZBrush wants to notify you of something, and it'll be written up there. So perspective distortion, and then the hotkeys beside it. So if I hold down Control Alt and just click, it'll come up then while I'm still holding it down. Press any key. I've released them now. Press any key combination to assign custom hotkey, or press escape or the mouse button to cancel, or press delete to remove previous custom assignment. So that basically tells you what to do. You just press your hotkey now, and that's it. You've set that new hotkey, and then if you ever want to overwrite that or get rid of it, you just do the exact same steps and just press delete. So that's all you have to do to set up hotkeys. So for the rest of the customization, you're going to be using this preferences palette. So I'm just going to press this little circle and I'll dock it over here. And the first thing you want to do here is just open up config and click this enable customize. So once that's on, your screen, if it's default, will kind of pop a bit when you turn this on and off. Mine isn't going to, because I have everything filled up. There's nowhere for it to pop to. So enable customize is on, and now all you have to do is use Control and Alt, the same as the hotkey shortcut, and then just drag anything from anywhere to anywhere else. So for instance, we'll start with brushes. Now if you press B to bring up your brushes, you can't, if you hold Control and Alt, you can't drag from here, and also you don't want to drag from here, because this is just going to drag this the brush fly out to wherever you drag it to. So what you want to do is just have your brush palette open here, and then just select any of these brushes. So if I hold Control and Alt, you can see now it's ghosting, and then it'll snap into place. Obviously I've no room left on my UI here, so you would just release the mouse. I'm holding the mouse down and Alt and Control, then you can just release it and it'll snap into position there. And if you want to remove anything, you just do the same, Control and Alt, and then just drag it onto the canvas and just release it, and it'll pop off. So I can do this with anything, any button at all. And if you want to add a brush down here that you can grab, you can just press B, select your brush, or else load it from Lightbox. And once you select this, so if I select this insert cylinder, it's going to pop into the list down here, and then you can drag it wherever you like. So same thing then, I've got some materials to hand here. Rather than always digging through this, I just pop some down here. I also, so you can get them from materials, and then you can grab any material. So sorry, you want to dock the same, you want to dock that, and then grab them, and you can add them the same way as the brushes from here, and they'll populate that list. And another thing that's quite handy, if you're using the basic material, which when I'm sculpting, I always use basic material, and to use that, you want to use your interactive light for organic sort of sculpting to check your forms. Now, I don't do it as much as I used to these days, because I often just pop me sculpt over the keyshot and check it under through 3D lighting. But you can find that then in light, and then you just drag this down here, and that's available. So as I said, you can drag anything to anywhere, and like a lot of people I've asked on my channel there, can they have me custom UI? And of course, yeah, I have it uploaded a while ago in the description of one of the videos, but I thought it was about time I showed people how to make their own, because mine mightn't be suitable. It suits me. I don't like digging through all these menus all the time. Even though you can open one up and then press shift and open another one and hold down shift again, and you can have more than one open at the same time, rather than them always closing. But then it becomes such a long list, and you're going in and out trying to find all these things. And it's the first thing I would advise people when they're learning ZBrush, is to obviously find out where everything lives, or everything you're using. You know, take the time to go through. If I come down to tool here, all the main palettes and sub palettes, take the time to just go through all these, find out where everything lives, and then once you know that, you can drag, and for whatever workflow you happen to use or the tools you use most often, just drag them all. You know, well, this is my personal preference. I just like to have everything here, so you know, I don't have to be pressing hotkeys and digging around in menus. So anytime you make any of these changes, the hotkey to save this is Control Shift I, and you get this pop-up: master configuration file has been saved successfully and be restored. So every time, this is going to be your default config file. Every time you open ZBrush, you know, the changes you've made will be saved. And then you can also Control Shift Alt and I, and that'll pop up the save menu, and then you can save your own. Here's my one saved here. I'm going to put this in the description also, so it's easier to find on the channel. So you can save your config there, and if ever you lose it, you know, you can just reload it. And just also, there's some things here that I have, you know, like Dynamesh Master, that if you don't have it, it's just going to be empty. This part of your UI is going to be empty because obviously you haven't got it installed. So just beware of that. A couple of people asked me about that. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. Control Shift I to save your configuration. Control Shift Alt and I to physically save the file. So that's pretty much the hotkeys and setting up your UI. And the next thing I want to go over then is if we come back up here, also here's hotkeys. Here's where you can save and load your hotkeys. Same with this button here. Store config. You can see there the hotkey Control Shift I, and then save the UI Control Alt Shift and I, and then you can load it from here also. So the next thing was, you know, you can go through all these here, and you know, this is going to give you more options to play with. Interface, so UI, you know, the size of the buttons, and all these other, you know, slider snapping, and you can read through all these. If you hold Control as well in ZBrush, it's going to give you, for most things, it's going to give you a description of what it does. So, you know, play around with it. I'm not going to go over all these, but you know, just go down through all these and have a read of them yourself. This is hidden away, and a lot of people don't know about this. Just a quick tip: right-click navigation. That's what I've been using now for a good while now. Once you get used to it with the mouse, you know, if you right-click, you can just rotate from the point of your cursor, and also you don't have to go into an empty part of the canvas. and then when you're using the Wacom pen, you're just going to use that right click button, and I just find it way easier. You can also, you know, move without having to move over here, and you can scale while you're over the tool without having to go over to this this dead zone over here outside the canvas that you usually have to do if you've no empty part of the canvas to navigate on. So that's right click navigation, and I always have that on, and it's down here in interface, and you'll see it there, right click navigation under the navigation sub palette. So have a look through all them. Custom UI, once enable customize is on, you can create your own menu like I showed earlier on. I'm going to show how to do that. And then next is colors. So all these colors here are basically, this is kind of the color palette obviously of my UI as is now. And what you can do is if you just hover over it, it's going to tell you what it is, but some of them, you know, it's not really clear what they are. The likes of that push button, so on the buttons push, it's going to be that color. So if you just cycle through all these, and an easy way to find out what they are is you can just change your color to whatever. Change it to bright red, and then in ZBrush when you press C, that's the color picker, it'll sample whatever colors here. And for these swatches here, so if I press C on some of these here, sorry, that's what I meant to do was that was sampling from here. You just change the color over here, and then just click on the button, and you can see then that's what that does, and so on and so forth. So let's see, say for instance you have to change, you can change, so play around with that, and you know, you can see what's changing there, and change your colors accordingly if you want. So I'll come back to config load UI, and I'll just load up my UI just to get rid of all those colors. And that's another reason why it's a good idea. If I had reloaded it, it would have got rid of it, but it's a good idea to save it out anyway as its own physical file. So that is, and just to explain, sorry, what was going on there when when you press C over anything, anywhere at all, it's going to sample that into the first swatch. So it doesn't matter what you hover over. You could even have an image playing in the background, or you could even you can take it from anywhere. Basically, you could paint on the model, and you can sample colors from anywhere at all on the screen. Or you could use this see-through mode, and I could press C there, and it's going to sample that. So I'll just put that back down again to 0, and put that back to Y. So that, yeah, that's colors. And then the same thing again, you can I think I closed down the preferences. We'll come back into eye colors. You can also, the same as everything else, save and load your colors. So it's going to be, you know, saved in there as its own file with the colors. And then also there's this button up here that people might know about, that you can cycle through sort of pre-made UIs, color schemes. It's still going to keep everything that I've set up here in the configuration, but it's just going to change the color palette. So that's another option, you know, if you find, and you can see here then obviously these colors are changing. So I'm going to reload that again. So lastly now I'll just talk about how to create the custom pop-up menu like I showed earlier on. So you want to come down to custom UI and just make sure that enable customize is still active, custom UI, and then create new menu. This will all be grayed out if enable customize isn't active. So create new menu, and just type it in. We'll just call it new menu, press enter, and now you'll see it'll pop up here in this drop down list, and just click on it, and then it's just going to reposition itself alphabetically along this list, along the top row here, menus. So you can click on it and then just move it, grab the little circle and just drag it and move it over here, and you can rename it by just Control Alt and click, escape to get out of that. You can rename it then, and then you know, you could drop some a couple of brushes or whatever in here, so same as usual. So before I do that, we can drag a custom sub palette in here, and that'll snap into place. I'm just going to drag some brushes in, so you know, whatever, you can put whatever, as I said earlier. And we just needed to put something in, so we can just call that brushes. And remember, everything in this customizing centers around Control and Alt as the hotkeys. So let's say we have our brushes in there, and then we could you can add spacers in here, so you can drag that over, and then I could add another custom sub palette, and you know, put whatever we like in there. Let's say, for instance, I'll just come down to down to geometry, and then you might put some edge looping tools in, so we could grab, you know, edge loop, group loops. Then you could grab some group loop specific sort of options, polish, and then we could just call this you know, edge tools or edge loops tools or whatever. So and we could rename this to whatever we like, as I said, and escape to just get out of that if you don't want to rename it. So that's basically it then. You have your new menu here, and then lastly, to set hotkeys, remember you need to turn off enable customize, so turn that off, and then we'll hover over new menu and Control Alt click, and then I'm just going to set a hotkey. I'll just say let's see, I'm going to delete this menu, so I'll just select whatever, and now back in the canvas I can call up that hotkey, and then we have our new menu. So you can imagine the possibilities here. You know, it's really quick way to work. You can put anything you like in there. So say for instance my one, topology tools, now it's context sensitive, so I usually have all the Z-sphere stuff in here, but unless a Z-sphere is active on the canvas, they're not going to show up. And I will just show that really quickly. So Z-sphere, and then call it up, and now you can see topology tools, edit topology, skin thickness, density, make adaptive skin. They're the main tools I need for working with Z-sphere topology. Then I have me ZR Measure Guides and topology brush, so that's, you know, topology tools here. Then below that I have these polish features that I use a lot. Then inflate sometimes is handy, and then I have retopology stuff here as well, so ZR Measure with all its options. Then I have some curve tools here, then some edge loop and stuff, panel loops and group loops, and then, you know, I don't want to make the menu huge because that kind of defeats the purpose. I don't have to be scrolling through this. I just want everything bang, you know, ready to go. But you could make multiple of these. You can make as many as you like, and just you could have one with all your brushes, one with all your materials, whatever. And in that way you could keep your you could use, if you like using hotkeys more, you could keep your UI a bit cleaner, and just use hotkeys to pop up all these different menus. So that's basically it. That's all you need to know. It's quite simple. It might seem a bit weird at first, but if you do it a few times, mess around with it and just save out, keep saving your UI. So that's another important thing, is when you're doing all these changes, just get in the habit of Control Shift I every now and again. Control Shift I when you've changed things, and then that'll store that config, and then you could also load different versions of it, and you could just call them up when you want to load them. And then you could also just take your load UI, same again, you could just drop that somewhere, turn off enable customize, and then you could have several versions. So say you have a hard surface UI, an organic sculpting UI, a poly painting UI, whatever, a Z modeler UI, whatever it happens to be, and then you can just load up these really quickly and have your button there. And because it just loaded, obviously that disappeared, and so did these menus. So that's pretty much it. And I'm stretching the use of the term quickies for this one because it went on a bit, but as I said, I thought it was important to show this, and I actually got a request from, I can't remember who it was, but I've been meaning to do it for a while. And I'll also leave that UI in my UI in the description if anyone wants to use that, or just use that to mess around with. So yeah, that is it, and I hope you enjoyed this one and it was helpful. Alright, cheers, thanks, good luck.